Once upon a time, the man with the fastest horse was the best newsman. The fabulous progress in radio communications has changed all that. Today, we can hear what's happening anywhere within moments of the event itself. Swift communications aren't enough. How good is the man at the mic? What can he tell us of why the event took place? The meaning of the event in our own lives. Its meaning elsewhere in the world. Those are the questions we want answered now.
Sono lieto di poter rievocare in poche parole le esperienze delle prime trasmissioni radiotelegrafiche a grandi distanze da me felicemente eseguite attraverso l'Oceano Atlantico il 12 dicembre 1901.
Holy snapping bra straps.
It's a podcast. Republic of Avalon Radio. It's 0 hours Avalon Standard Time. Republic of Avalon Radio. You're with the roar! Yo-ho, you are with the roar. This is Republic of Avalon Radio, episode 107. I'm Jim Fiddler, and very glad to have you aboard for the continuation of the saga, which is Republic of Avalon Radio. We've been away for a little while, a couple of weeks. Lots of very exciting changes taking place here. The Roots Cellar is morphing as we speak, getting somewhat of a heart transplant. The old heart used to be the Roland VS2480. That was the big console that used to sit in front of me here. Now, in front of me, I have the new Tascam FW1884, which will allow me to do the things that I could do up until now, many of them much more easily. As well, it will allow me to do things that I wasn't able to do before. That is, it's kind of like technology. You know, people say, isn't technology supposed to make our lives easier? Well, perhaps it's not just to make our lives easier. Maybe it's there to just give us more options. So instead of the 20 things that are always breaking down that you have to deal with and all these problems, you get 40 or 50 or 70 or 100 instead. You know? That's just another way of looking at technology, I think. Yeah, it's not necessarily there to make your life any easier. It's just there to give you even more trouble, perhaps. But if you can get those things working, it actually gives you more options and enables you to do more things and be a more productive citizen, as it were. So there we have all of that. Yeah, I've been hitting many speed bumps in the process here, and I'm still chasing them down even right now as we speak. This operation is not complete yet. We haven't permanently lost the patient. The patient keeps going down, flatlining every now and again, but we've been able to defibrillate and restore the patient to some sort of something or other. So anyway, here we are. I'm recording, I'm speaking, and it's being recorded somehow. And if you're hearing me now, then somehow I managed to make it work. And hopefully, if I can lean toward the optimistic for a moment, if you'll excuse me, if you'll allow me that frivolity, let's go toward optimism and say that perhaps it can only get better from here. That's what I am hoping. I'm knocking on the FW 1884, I'm knocking on wood. We will see. Yes, so in any case, this episode is quite an interesting one, I think. Scotia to Scotia. We take you on Walkabout, where we talk about all kinds of things that happened way back in the 90s, if you can imagine that. Doesn't really much matter how old you are, if you're young or old or whatever. We're still talking about 12 years ago, and some of the stuff we're talking about is maybe a little bit before that. So even if you're 60, we're talking about, way back in the day when you were still in your 40s. Or if you're 12 and you're listening, then we're talking about stuff perhaps from when you were very, very tiny and wee, or even from before you were even born. So either which way, I think it should prove interesting. We're reminiscing about some things that happened to us in the 90s, or I shouldn't say happened to us. I would say some things that we made happen, and then the things that tend to flow from that, the kind of chain reaction. If reality is reacting to your action, that's a different thing than just waiting around for things to happen to you. You make things happen and you get on the move, and boy, I'll tell you, it's not too long before those things cause other things to happen. And if you've got a good eye on the ball and a good attitude, and your intentions are good and your back is strong and you're not afraid to put your back into what you do, then boy, things can pay off for you. And it's a real wonderful experience. So we're just kind of looking back at some of that sort of thing, the unfolding of things back at that point in our lives, which involves a trip that we took to Scotland, where I played at the Celtic Connections Festival in Glasgow, and a whole bunch of other interesting things. As well, we will take you back into the cassette archives. One of the advantages to the changeover here in the Roots Cellar is that I now have a cassette deck wired into the board. So all these old archival cassettes that I've got kicking around can actually be transferred over into the digital domain, and some of that stuff I will share with you in subsequent episodes of the Roar. So you all can look forward to that, or you can cower in dread. Either which way. So from the cassette archives this time, we have an interview and recording session I did with the BBC at Radio Scotland in Glasgow in 98 while we were there in late January 1998. So that would be almost 13 years ago. Wow. And boy, do I sound young in that interview. Well, the singing, it's kind of interesting because the singing voice doesn't quite change as much as the talking voice. It's a phenomenon that I find quite interesting. You all can check that out. I'm listening to myself talking and I'm thinking, gee whiz, is the tape speeded up or what's going on here? Should I pitch it down or something? But no, I think the tape speed is fine. I just sound a lot younger. So there we have it. So check that out and note that younger sounding voice. And I do play a few songs from that time. Gypsy was my only solo project at that time. The only thing I had done, really, at that point. So I play a few songs from that, as well as a song that I used to play, a tune that I used to play quite often, a little arrangement I do on the guitar of a tune called Cock of the North, or many people call it Auntie Mary. So it's either like a rooster from from up north somewhere, or it's something to do with Auntie Mary having a canary, or whichever way. Either way, it sounds kind of naughty, but there you have it. I don't know what's so naughty about a rooster, but, you know, what the heck? I'm just a musician. I just play the tune. I don't ask questions, you know? So, before we get into all that, let me just briefly here. Lillian has been tapping me on the shoulder profusely and insisting that I let you guys know that she is still standing by, still available for the gift wrapping offer. And you can go over to republicofavalonradio.com or jimfiddler.com for that matter. And the CDs over there, you know, they make great gifts. If you want to get some gifts out to some people, this is the way to do it. And Lillian will wrap the CDs for you, you know, Christmas wrapping, all that kind of stuff. And instead of sending them to you and you having to wait to get them and then you having to wrap them and send them on somewhere else, she will send them directly to the person that you want them to go to, all wrapped and labeled and all that kind of wonderful stuff. So there still is time. She tells me there still is time. So if as soon as you hear me say this, maybe pause this and go to the website and get in your order or orders or whatever. And that should get to whoever you want it to get to by Christmas. Also, we have the new Roar store and all kinds of swag over there, all kinds of accoutrements. We have Republic of Avalon radio keychains, and there's some really nice hats over there and some really nice shirts too, t-shirts and polo shirts and all kinds of sweatshirts and hoodies and just all kinds of things like that. Anything you can pretty much imagine, I think we have it over there, including some really nice beer steins. Wouldn't you like to sit back on a Friday night and listen to some old episodes of The Roar that you've heard before, but just go back and reminisce and just fill up your stein and sit back and have a nice cold beer in your Roar mug. That sounds nice to me. Or there are some very nice coffee mugs over there as well. So you can even get up with us on a Saturday or a Sunday morning, fill up your Roar mug full of Java and do that as well. The only other thing that I would say that is available, and it's a timely thing, so I will throw it in. The 99-cent download of a version that I recorded of Jingle Bells, which is kind of a American Thanksgiving song, but it tends to extend throughout the holidays, you know, into Christmas and New Year's and whatever. And it's only 99 cents. So, geez Louise, go and do it. Go grab that Jingle Bells. JimFiddler.com. I think you can find your way to it. If you go to republicofavalonradio.com, you can find a link to my artist website there. In case you don't know how to spell fiddler, a lot of people seem to put way too many D's in it for some reason. But there you have it. In any case, all that stuff is available for you to share the love that is Republic of Avalon Radio. So, and I always say, above all and beyond, none of this is making us rich by any stretch of the imagination. For me, my top priority really is the music. Getting the music out in the world while I'm still alive, and that is the whole thing. So when you buy that music and you share that with people, that does my heart a lot of good. So, but all the other stuff is there too. All right, that's enough of all that. Just a wee little note that keep listening, keep your ear to the ground. Episode 108 of The Roar will be coming very, very soon. This is a special episode, really, where we have the great pleasure to welcome to Republic of Avalon Radio Ricky Skaggs. Had a chat with Ricky from Tennessee, and it was a very, very good chat. We will have Ricky in next episode, 108. But in the meantime, kick back, relax, and enjoy. And if you don't have a Roar mug yet, just any old vessel will do. I would say. But as we say in the show notes, best listened to on headphones, folks. If you've never listened to The Roar on headphones before, pause right now. Go, get your headphones. Earbuds will do, but headphones are best. Enclosed, nice, what we call in the studio, we call cans. That's the best thing. Get your earbuds, get your headphones, close your eyes, get your refreshment, kick back, light your cigar. This is episode 107. This is Republic of Avalon Radio. I am Jim Fiddler. Enjoy.
This is Newfoundland's first podcast. You're with the Roar.
Republic of Avalon Radio.
Radio for the chipmunk in you.
You're with the roar!
Yes, indeed you are. You are with the Roar. I am Jim Fiddler, and with me, right alongside of me, playing with a piece of paper, which we wrote some things down on that we didn't want to forget mentioning, because all of that stuff that we were talking about in regards to what we're going to talk about on this little session here, this little walkabout, we didn't want to forget. So there you have it. Next to me is the lovely Miss Lily.
Hello, everybody.
She's getting used to that now. She used to giggle and be flattered and everything, and now it's just, she just takes it for granted.
Well, thank you anyway.
Yes, you are very welcome. So we were just kind of reminiscing a little bit. It's funny, things that happen. I remember saying a couple episodes ago that no matter who you are, you have a life. You have a set of circumstances, and you have a point of view. And when I say a point of view, I don't mean an opinion. I mean a point of view. I mean, for example, somebody in France sees life from the point of view of a French person. In other words, literature and certain television shows and certain pop culture and songs and places and various things like that all add up together to give this person a particular point of view. Quite often, point of view is misconstrued with opinion, but they're not synonymous necessarily. So, yes, I was saying a couple episodes ago that I think everybody has a point of view from which they see the world, as a Newfoundlander or as a Washingtonian or as a Californian or whatever, this sort of thing. And henceforth, your sort of observations, your life observations and your doings and things like that are significant. So I don't think it's just Hollywood stars and people like that have significant lives. I think we all do. And if you do your thing and you observe certain standards, I think even you listening, could do something like what we're doing now with very little equipment and just a little bit of faith. You could do it. So the reason why I'm reiterating that is because we were talking today about some happenings back, gosh, I guess good ways back now, 12 years ago?
Yeah.
Something like that. And just kind of marveling at the whole sort of zaniness of that time period. We kind of go up and down, we go in cycles. We have crazy cycles, where we're doing 10 million things at once. And then we'll have some calmer years and simmer down a bit, and then we swell back up, and whatever that is, it's a kind of an ebb and flow kind of thing. Well, the roar has been like that too. Oddly enough, this show has been like that, and of course, I suspect it's going to get like that again once the winter comes, because we won't be able to get out for these walkabouts. And in terms of content, well, we'll see. But I would anticipate more, probably less quantity, And hopefully where we lose on the quantity, we'll make up a bit on the quality. Not to say that this isn't quality here, but you get my gist. So in any case, we were just reminiscing today and thinking about a period of time after I recorded my Gypsy album. The short years just thereafter, where kind of it was interesting how it seemed that one thing led to another. Everything was a kind of a domino effect, or a chain reaction is probably a better way to put it. And it was unusual. I guess it started, would it have been in Moncton? I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
I think in maybe 97. Maybe in 97, I think. 96 or 97. I don't recall. But I'm going to say 97, just for the sake of things. We went to the East Coast Music Awards, which is a Canadian awards association that hands out awards annually. And I think I was nominated. I was nominated that year indirectly. I think I was nominated the year before for Gypsy.
Oh, yeah. So that's right.
And then I was nominated again from the Snotty Var project.
Yeah, that's right.
Being a part of that group.
Uh-huh.
Snotty Var, as in, like the tree, the gooey stuff on the tree and all that. Yeah. Anyway, have fun Googling that one, I'd say. I think it was 97, if I'm getting this straight. Or, anyway, whatever.
Sounds about right. If not, you're not far off.
Okay. So we're in Moncton, and a series of events, just the whole overall thing. I'd been going to these things, we had been going to these things for a fair bit at that point in time. And it's like all these industry things, Doesn't matter, I suppose, what the industry is. But, you get all this sort of schmoozing and all this stuff going on. And certain people, certain sort of self-important people, and some kind of cliquishness going on, all these kinds of things. And being more of a lone wolf as I am, I wasn't really too in tune with all that stuff. And got to the point at one point where I was feeling pretty down about the whole thing. And I just kind of took matters into my own hands. So I went to the French media. The English media, I found, for whatever reason, was just kind of, I don't know what it was. At the time, it's like they were like stuck on one thing. They just seemed to be fixated in one direction and not interested in, the variety of things that were going on. And I spoke to some of them, and they just didn't seem to have a good attitude. So I kind of said, okay, well, fine, screw you guys. And I went over, I had a great time. I was warmly welcomed and on the French side of things, and did a bunch of extensive stuff with them, live on air stuff. And it was interesting because some people heard that, and I heard back from people after that. But yeah, so there I was doing the French media in Moncton, New Brunswick, on the French side of the media, not on the English side at all, not even a whisper, and feeling very warmly welcomed on the French side, and that was great. Still though, the next day, I think it was like the last day or the second last day, a friend of mine, Steve McLean, a friend of ours, Steve McLean from Toronto, well, originally from Stratford, Ontario, but the guy who busted my leg in Toronto back in 93, I think, something like that. Haha. That's a whole, I think I've told that story, I'm not sure. If I haven't, I'll be sure to. But anyway, he was there, and he was with the media, obviously, and he was telling me about this press conference going on down somewhere in the hotel. So, to make a long story short, I crashed the press conference. It was for journalists only. It was this record company from Scotland, Lismor Iona, with their big thing that they were talking about. Their big campaign, their big thing at the time was, quote unquote, the Canadians are coming. Their point was telling people in Scotland and England and Ireland and Europe in general and so on that there was a whole lot of good music coming out of Canada, a good bunch of Celtic folk and world and all kinds of great music coming out of Canada at the time. That was their big thing. They weren't just riding the wave, they were kind of creating the wave to a certain degree. And so they were there making their big press conference and their big announcement, and they were signing all these artists and all this stuff. And so, as I said, I crashed the press conference. I was the only recording artist, the only entertainer, singer, whatever you want to call it, musician in the room. And after the press conference was over, bold as brass, I walked right up to the president of the record company and just said, "Hey, how you doing?" Shook his hand and handed him a copy of my CD, Gypsy, at the time, which was, gee whiz, barely a year old or something like that.
Yeah, it's about that, I guess.
Yeah, and just said, "Nice to meet you." And he said to me, I remember him saying to me, he says, well, thank you for the CD. He said, but I got to be honest with you, we don't get a chance to listen to everything, and even if we listen to it, blah, 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 whatever. I said, sure, whatever. So I was a bit dejected after that whole thing, but I had made the effort. That's my point. I had done something a little bit out of the box, something a little, the reflective of my rebel nature, I guess you would say. And we flew back here and carried on with life as normal. At the time, I was doing a lot of stuff on the internets with my old, what the heck was it? Good Lord, a 386 or something? No.
It's pretty old, whatever it was.
Oh, I don't remember. It was pretty old. I think I had a 100 meg hard drive, I think.
I don't think there's any such thing as Windows then, was it?
No, I didn't have Windows. No, I was using DOS.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was on doing everything I could and kind of spreading the word about the record and, appropriately and respectfully and all that kind of stuff. Making contacts, I suppose you could say, and building up like a database and of contacts of people, at various radio stations and things like that. Doing it all myself, not hiring somebody else, but actually doing it all myself. And to a great degree of success, I must say, after all those days and days and weeks and months and ultimately years of work paid off. But so I was back drilling away at that, and one afternoon the phone rang, and lo and behold, this was Ronnie Simpson from Lismor Iona in Glasgow, saying, "Hey Jim, we listened to your CD, and we think it's a knockout." Part of that too was we had our own press kit. It wasn't just a regular old manila envelope stuffed full of, garbage and whatever. I think we had our own. We called it the Impress kit. We redesigned the whole concept, and it was very clever.
It was.
And it was different and very convenient, and all the various things about these press kits that people receive. We took all these things into mind, so you didn't have a big clunky CD falling out and breaking, and you didn't have a big gigantic manila envelope and you couldn't tell what it was till you opened it up and all these things.
Yeah, Yeah, it was impressive.
Uh-huh. It was the Impress kit?
Yes. We even had somebody from EMI comment on it.
We had a few people
were
from...
really kind of interested.
Yeah.
In it.
They were saying that we should really, really race out and patent the concept.
Yeah, but we didn't.
No.
We didn't.
Well,
We still have a lot of those left, actually.
it seems to me a bit sort of I don't know, not reasonable to be patenting just a type of
Yeah.
package, but I suppose people do it. What about, I mean, there must be someone getting a bit of ding, from those digipacks and stuff like that. I don't know.
I suppose, yeah.
Ah.
If we were going to manufacture them, and because we had that idea too for a while,
Yeah.
but
Well, anyway.
anyway.
We didn't become millionaires from our Impress kit
No.
idea, so that's fine. But anyway, I got a call one afternoon. This was Ronnie Simpson in Glasgow, as I said. Well, we listened to your CD. We think it's a knockout. We want to sign. We want to sign you to our label. So I said, well, I don't know about that. I have to think about it for a while. No, seriously. I was, interested. Not jumping around, dancing around the room or anything. But, certainly glad to hear from him, and just that whole feeling like, well, gee whiz, that wasn't a waste of time, Happy that way. So the long process that maybe a lot of you don't know about took place thereafter, where I sought out the best entertainment law firm in the country and hired them to represent me. And we went on to negotiate what turned out to be the first individual European record deal by a Newfoundlander ever.
And we did it via...
Oh no, hold on.
Oh,
We're not to that yet.
Okay.
Yes. So as it turns out, there's a bit of trivia for you. Who was the first, solo or individual Newfoundlander to ever sign a European record deal? That would be myself. And there we go. A little bit of sidewalk ruttage on the go. We signed the deal, and then the point that you're getting to, we after all the legal stuff was done and everything was agreed upon. And by the way, I want to mention that I kept all of my songs, all of my copyrights, all of my mechanical rights, everything, right down to they didn't even change the order of the songs on the CD or remaster any of the music or change any of the artwork, the cover, nothing. All they did was what they in their in their repackaging for Europe, they put the Lismor Iona information on the back of the CDs. That's all they did. So that for us was a real coup, because we're very much DIY, do it yourself. Between myself and Lillian, we tend to, when you see a record, a CD, whatever, that's both of us, from the cover to the music to the everything. We've been doing this stuff for years and doing more and more as the years go by, doing more and more of it, of things ourselves. And it's a really good feeling to know that you do something and it passes muster. It clears the bar, and nothing had to be done with it. It didn't need to be fixed up or remastered or need the album cover to be changed or anything like that.
And that was your first solo recording, and you produced it yourself?
Yes.
And it was my...
Played all the instruments and all that.
Yeah, you did the whole thing yourself with all original material.
Yes, and even came up with the idea for the cover, the whole the stars, the musical note stars and the color. Mm-hmm. I saw the color scheme in my head and everything.
Yeah, and that was my first album cover, I think, that I ever did.
From sort of start to finish, like.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so that was a good testament to us, sort of thing. and our work and our working together. So after this was all said and done, and we signed the deal, and this was another first. I don't think this was ever done beforehand either. We signed this international record deal, multi-country international record deal on a live satellite feed. Now this was 1998. Sure, there was satellite stuff, video, but I don't know, video satellite stuff. In fact, there was nobody really doing that at the time. We had to go to the big telecom provider at the time.
It was pretty complicated at that.
Well, I think as it turned out, they were good enough. I guess it was Newtel at the time.
I think so, yeah.
They were good enough to. They liked the idea. We kind of went to them. I had this idea in my head. I don't want to fly to Scotland and sign a deal or whatever. Ronnie Simpson wasn't coming here. So I said, well, what about that there satellite technology? And so I said, well, I'll get on the phone and call Newtel. And so we did.
And Nancy helped out with that. Remember Nancy
Bennett?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
We spoke of her earlier in one of the...
Yes, we actually talked with her, not of her, but actually with her.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
A couple of times.
Yeah.
She's been on the Roar a few times now.
Yes.
So we went ahead and did that and actually signed the record deal. Ronnie Simpson in Glasgow, Scotland, and myself here in the heart of the Republic, live via video satellite feed, which I think they told me that day that if we had to pay to do that, we got on, we exchanged greetings back and forth and said, hey, how's it going, all that kind of stuff, and we actually signed the video, signed the record contract and all that. I think they said at that time that just that thing that we had done would have cost about $50,000.
Wow.
Just that.
Amazing.
That thing. It was that groundbreaking. So a lot of firsts kind of going on there. I don't know if this is exactly a first. I'm sure it was done before, but maybe not to the same extent or whatever. But that record, Gypsy, also was all original material. There was nothing on there. There was no traditional songs. There was no Eyes to Buy or Fella from Fortune or anything. Kelly Grew Soiree, nothing. There were no traditional or public domain or anything. Every word and every note and everything was all 100% original too. So again, that's something that kind of makes you feel good at that point. That you think, geez, you're going to put out this record of all original stuff that nobody's ever heard before. And within the realms of, certainly locally here, that's not very common. I don't know. I can't think of very many examples of that.
Well, you won 2 awards for that album that year you put it out.
Yeah.
It was Album of the Year and Independent Album of the Year. So they were the 2 top awards.
They were the
that
2
you won
top,
for the
yeah.
album. It was amazing.
And the third of the triumvirate would have been Song of the Year. And one of the songs from the record was actually nominated in that category too.
Right. But it was like everybody, all the local musicians, it was unanimous that everybody just agreed that album was just,
And all stripes. That's the thing that really delighted me about it. It didn't matter what sort of, what quarters you came from. It seemed like the more artsy crowd loved it, the more rootsy crowd loved it, the more folky crowd loved it, the more Celtic crowd loved it. It was just very well received, very widely well received.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we signed the record deal, did the satellite thing, and next thing we know, we're hopping on a plane, and we were on our way to Glasgow.
In January.
Late January of
That might have been 98.
98, I think, yes. Late January 98. This is all lining up. This is making sense. 97, 98, this is making sense. So we're on a plane, we're on our way to Glasgow, and I'm flying over to play at the Celtic Connections Festival. Anybody who knows anything about Celtic music in the world would know that the Celtic Connections Festival is probably, primo. I know there's a lot of talk, in regards to the one that happens there in Milwaukee, but that's a slightly different vibe. We're kind of talking Coke and Pepsi here.
Yeah. This is right in Scotland, so
that's true.
Attracts a lot of European, of course, Celtic and
a lot of the top of whoever is there.
Irish.
Not to say that doesn't happen at Milwaukee,
Scottish.
but anyway, we're not trying to slag you in Milwaukee, by the way, folks.
No,
that's not our point,
For sure.
So off to Glasgow, and
we're just a note that I got made here for on the way there. Like the whole trip was amazing, but right from the get-go it was incredible. We were in Heathrow Airport, our first time actually.
Oh yeah.
We were on. This is our first time going across the pond, as we call
together.
it, and it was very exciting. And
we're coming off the plane, right?
And this is like 4:00 in the morning or something, isn't it?
No, it's about I think 8:00 in the morning or something.
Okay.
And we're coming off the plane, and I said to Lillian, as we're kind of walking down the ramp and coming into the airport, into Heathrow of all places,
crazy airport.
Before switching planes to take a second plane to Glasgow, I say, Lillian, what? This is like Heathrow. What do you think, the chances are? Because we, as Newfoundlanders, we always run into Newfoundlanders. We were talking about that. And Newfoundlanders can tell you many, many stories about odd circumstances where they're traveling abroad and they run into other Newfoundlanders. It's happened to us several times. So anyway, I was just saying to Lillian, what do you think the odds are in this big friggin' Heathrow maniac thing that we're gonna run into somebody that we know? And I almost barely had the words out of my mouth, or like within a moment after me saying it, I hear a voice, "Hey, fiddler!" And this was Daryl Power and the lads from Great Big Sea, who I had just been working with not too long before that. At that point, this was only like 98, so I mean, it was still only not that long before that I was working with them and so on. And we were buddies, and still are. Mainly, Sean and Daryl were the two that I actually hung out with the most. But I always got along well with Bob too, and actually still have a banjo I bought from him from back in them days. That you can hear on my recordings. Whenever you hear me playing banjo, like on Midnight Rover and so on and so forth, that's my banjo that I got from Bob Hallett. So. Wow. There you go. So yeah, there's the boys from Great Big Sea, and we all part ways, okay, we'll see you later. We all go to get on the plane, and are we all sitting together?
We're all in the same row, like right across from each other. Actually, I think Daryl was sitting
with
you
us.
And I.
Yeah.
And the other guys were in the other aisle. Right
we were like 3 seats, me, you, Daryl, and then the other 3 guys were in the
and we had no idea that they were going there, and they had no idea we were going there.
Yeah.
So that was, wow. That was pretty cool.
Yep.
Incredible coincidence.
It was indeed. And okay, hold on. This is where it starts getting a little noisy, folks. We're getting into the mad zone here. Who's playing in there?
I don't know who that is, actually. I don't know. They don't sound familiar to me.
I don't know who it is. It wouldn't be Avalonia or someone like that.
No, I don't think so.
We haven't heard them yet.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So what would be the next thing in sequence that you have note of there that we wanted to mention? Are you watching?
Yes.
Because we're crossing a street, the horns are tooting, and she's looking at her notes, which makes boys like me nervous.
Well, I think we got in Scotland and got situated in our hotel, which was really
We had a
old.
beautiful,
It was
yeah.
such a beautiful hotel.
What was it that the Charing Cross or
I thought
something
it was
like
something
that?
like that. Yeah, apparently it was like a very, I don't know, it was some
We're not
movie. It was in some movie.
We're
or
not
something?
confusing it with where we stayed in Dublin,
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
because that place in Dublin was very famous and all that stuff as well. So-called.
This was beautiful. Like the rooms were, kept a lot of their old kind of feel and architecture and and all that stuff, and it was just beautiful.
That interior
Very
architecture.
plush, very plush. I don't know, what would you call that? Decor?
Yeah, decor, I guess. Yeah.
But, the old wood and ornate sort of.
You don't really hear too much about too many external exterior designers, do you?
No.
Nor internal architects.
So
I
it's
guess-
a very beautiful hotel.
Yeah, it was very nice. And so, one of the things we did, we went to the fruit market and saw Carlos Nunez, and that was very, very good. And just a lot of other stuff. We met the Cunningham brothers of Silly Wizard fame, and we were walking through. I think it was the Central Hotel, where they were having. It was kind of like the main stage for the festival. They had all kinds of events in different venues and so on, which really gave us. That was a chunk. That was a part of what kind of gave us a bit of inspiration and some ideas toward for Atlantic Fest. I recall the whole multi-venue thing.
Oh yes.
That was part of the inspiration for Atlantic Fest was the Celtic Connections festival on a smaller scale. Anyway, we're in the Central Hotel. We're just kind of like body to body to body walking through in this big room somewhere, and I can feel like almost like on a subsonic level, the air kind of moving to a certain rhythm. And it's weird. It was a weird kind of. I was having this. I said to Lillian, I'm having this really bizarre deja vu kind of experience, and it was just hard to explain. So we kept on walking, and we started going away, and suddenly I realized it was something I was hearing way off in the distance, in another part of the hotel. Not hearing it with my ears as much as just kind of feeling it. If that makes any sense to you, dear listener. But that was the case, and so I started pulling Lillian, pushing her in the direction, people in the way all the way along. So she was zigzagging, and boom, 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 and then finally there was a door. So we opened this door and emerged out into another big area of the hotel, where I was starting to be able to hear a little bit of sound. And as we crossed and went through another hallway, another big room full of people, suddenly it started coming into focus. And it was the weirdest thing. This was Paddy Keenan of Bothy Band fame, the Uilleann Piper, playing on stage with, other musicians and everything. One of whom was a percussionist. Now, I had played on his Knockeen Fair album. I played on, 10 tracks or 12 tracks or something like that. All the percussion and extra percussion on that record. And this guy, this percussionist, was being true to the parts on the record. Boy, I'd love to shake that guy's hand. I don't think I ever got a chance to shake his hand. But those parts, I wasn't just like banging on a bongo. The parts were important. The bits that I was doing were important to the songs, and he listened to the record and took the parts from the songs and stayed true to the parts that to my compositions as a percussionist. That's a little something maybe a lot of people aren't aware of, is that percussion isn't just banging along a beat to a song. There are actual parts, just like on a piano or a guitar, or well, some people don't even get that about guitar. Some people who play guitar. Anyway, I won't get into my guitar player jokes, but yes, in any case, he was true to the parts that I had composed, the percussion parts, on Paddy's record, Not Keen Affair by Paddy Keenan, and it was just something instinctive from way the other side of the hotel. I could kind of like feel the air moving, pulling me along toward it, to like a salmon going back to the river kind of thing. I think we should get it.
It's okay.
What the heck was that?
It's a limousine of young people with their arms flailing, yelling out of the windows. It's like a party limo or something like that.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so that was a very welcoming experience, that running in the Paddy. And then we ran into those two guys. Remember?
Yeah.
There were two guys. We were over at the bar getting a bit of libation, and we just had a bit of a conversation, and we sat down with these two fellas. We hung out for the whole rest of the night, had a grand old chat, singing. We were back and forth singing different versions of Beggar Man and all that stuff.
Wasn't there, everything was going on in the hotel that we were staying in, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And well, that was like the ground zero kind of thing. There were other venues and everything as well.
Right.
Like I said, the fruit market and a whole bunch of other places, a bunch of concerts and in other venues and stuff. But yeah, the hotel really was the Central Hotel. It was aptly named because it really was the center of sort of the universe and all that kind of stuff. Right. What did he say?
I think he said, "Long live faith, no more."
What does that mean?
I have no idea. I'm trying to figure it out.
Doesn't sound very faithful to me.
No.
We don't want to be too terribly. We don't want to draw too much attention to ourselves, but we're just trying to, we're here kind of stopped at a certain point on the street here where there's nobody really around. Biggest problem with that is we'd probably stick out more. If we were getting through a crowd, that would be, we'd be a little bit less sort of obvious or whatever. The other thing that springs to mind was we were driving along with I forget his name now. Really nice fella from the record company, from my record company at the time, and he had some CDs to drop off. He was giving us a run. I can't remember where or what. That wasn't directly from the airport, was it?
No, I don't think so.
It was after that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we're driving along, and he's asking me, do you know any Scottish music and so on? I said, yes, absolutely. Really love Silly Wizard and Capercaillie and a whole bunch of stuff. And he was asking me. He said, what would be, he asked me, I don't know why he asked me this, but he did. He said, if you could have one wish, for your whole trip in Scotland, kind of one person you would want to meet, or one fellow musician or whatever. Maybe he was asking it because he knew who was playing at the Celtic Connections Festival, and it being such an event as it is, there was maybe a good chance, whatever. But I mean, here we are in Scotland, and so he asks me, who would I like to meet, or what would be my big thing that I would like to have happen? I said, well, there's this guy. There we go. Yes. Yeah, this is not a good spot.
No.
Everyone that passes us just leans into the mic, and this is not good, folks. By the way, a little tip for you: if you're ever recording with with a portable device, don't stop in one place where you stick out, where people pass by and they're like an inch from you. It's not a good idea. generally speaking. Keep moving. That's a good idea. I bet you these people are going to be okay. In any case, yes. So, I said to him, my wish, what I'd like to have happen while I'm here in Scotland is, I just love to run into Dougie MacLean. Love his music all the way along with the Tannahill Weavers and Silly Wizard, and especially love his solo work. Dougie MacLean, he wrote the song Caledonia, which is really like the kind of the new Scottish national anthem kind of thing, and that's been recorded by all kinds of people all over, everywhere, all over, everywhere, even America. People have recorded Caledonia, some country singers and various people. Too few to mention. But I said, yeah, I'd love to just run into him and get a chance to hang out with him and have a pint and so on. And he said, oh, yeah, Dougie MacLean, yeah, he's great, and so on and so on. And he pulled in to this venue where James Taylor was doing a concert that night, and he had some CDs to drop off at the concert. I guess they were probably, somehow they were involved with him as well. And so that he was in just with some boxes of CDs, and said, I'll be back in a minute, I just have to drop these off in at the merch, whatever. So he goes in, he comes out a minute later, and he says, Jim, he says, come on inside, Dougie MacLean's inside, he'd love to meet you. So we went in, and there was Dougie and his wife. And oddly enough, Dougie writes his own songs and arranges his own music, has his own studio in his home, records all his tracks and mixes and produces his own records, and his wife is a visual artist as well. Mm-hmm. So there was that whole big thing. The kind of wow, I didn't put two and two together. I hadn't realized that they had so much in common with Lillian and myself. So we had a great old chat, and we've still, I would assume to this day, have an open invitation to their place. They have a place there, kind of an inn or a bed and breakfast and a pub and all that kind of stuff in the north, I think, north of Glasgow.
Sounds so nice.
Yeah, so next time we think about heading that way, we'll have to check them out. And somebody else we have to check out is one night as we were on our rambles, we ran into a couple, stopped and asked us for directions. Here we are, we don't know where anything is. We don't know where we're going ourselves. And being forthright, sort of, Newfoundlanders and so on, we just basically said to them, we don't know any better where we're going than where you're going, so why don't we just hook up here, and maybe four heads are better than two. And this was a couple, Jerry and Betty, who we had a really nice evening with. We went to a place called the Scotia Bar.
Yeah.
And the people in there were brilliant. Had a really nice time in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of good music, and I think I got up and sang a couple of songs or something, and all that. Gave them a copy of my CD, and they had a compilation CD that they had just recorded of the people that play regularly at the Scotia Bar. They have a regular session there. So if you ever go to Glasgow, look for the Scotia Bar and go in and tell them that they certainly wouldn't remember us anymore, but you could tell them that they may because they had my CD, mm-hmm. and they certainly would have heard it, and on the radio, the airplay.
Sure, yeah.
In fact, not long after that, a friend of ours, Rich Nugent, he works on these vessels offshore, traveling all around the North Sea and all around the Atlantic and all kinds of places. And he told me one time, we said when they're out to sea, they can't pick up the radio. So sometimes they're like large stretches of time when they can't hear any radio whatsoever. And Rich told me about it. There was somebody else told me about it too. And one of the good signs that really perks everybody up is when they start being able to tune the radio back in. They know they're getting close enough to shore, so soon enough they'll be able to get on shore and get in and get their land legs and have a few jars and a bit of fun and all that. They've been working hard, long shifts at sea for sometimes weeks and weeks or months on end, and so they were just noticing the slight faint radio signal starting to fade in. They were somewhere up around the Hebrides, I think. This is shortly after this trip to Scotland. And sure enough, they're listening to like a drive home show on a radio station, talking about, stay away from the traffic over here, things are congested in this area, da-da-da-da-da. And they say, okay, now we're going to hear some music from, this is some music from Jim Fiddler. Here's Rhythm of the Goat, or something like that. And here are these guys on the ship from Newfoundland, somewhere up off the north of the Hebrides, just listening to the first radio signals they'd heard in a couple of months.
Gee whiz.
Come fading in over the static. And what do they hear but music from somebody who not only they know of, but somebody they actually know personally, that they've pressed flesh with, you know?
Incredible.
So that was a pretty awesome story.
Mm-hmm.
But back to the Scottish trip, the Scotia bar, Jerry and Betty. I also did an interview while I was there with the BBC, which we will play.
What are you at?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How's it going?
Good. We are roaring.
How are you doing? Aw.
Hey, my turn.
How's it going? I didn't email you back, but that's fine.
Well, folks, we've just run into a couple of folks here that you've heard
man, how's it
before.
going?
This is Colleen, Power, and friend.
Yeah. New friend to be.
Yes. Now you'll have to introduce him. He's never been on the Roar.
Roger Monder.
That's true.
Roger Monder, videographer, filmmaker extraordinaire, and partner in crime.
Yes, that's right.
Actually, we were at Buscott tonight with Andy Jones.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
A bit of local comedy.
Sold out.
Comedy films.
It's
bunch
all
of films with Calco. And
it's all local comedy, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, even the tragedy.
Definitely is.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yes. How's the
cool.
roar?
The Roar is roaring along.
Wicked.
We're going to have you on very soon in regards to your new CD.
That's right.
Yeah.
I do. I have a new CD since last time I was talking to you guys. For
I
sure.
think the timing would be good too, you know, with sort of getting into the fall and all that kind of stuff, and people being aware of it. And basically, Colleen just did a children's record, I guess you'd say.
Kids Bluegrass.
Kids Bluegrass with Crooked Stovepipe,
Yeah.
Newfoundland bluegrass band, and a lot of good material on there. Some of her stuff and some more traditional kinds of stuff. And
Yeah. Yeah. They even sang on the Muffin Man with me.
Cool. Well, I wonder what
Yeah.
what they would have thought the odds were of that if you asked them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, when they came in and I asked them, or I said, they kind of smiled, and then when they actually came in to sing the vocal for the Muffin Man, like they were laughing their heads
So
off.
I guess ultimately you had to ask them the question:
Yeah.
do you know the Muffin Man?
That's right. That's what I said. Yeah.
And they said, yeah, we've heard it.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, we know the Muffin Man.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Have you-
I gotta drop you over a copy, actually.
Okay.
I'll drop you over a copy.
All right, and we'll definitely get together and have a chat. But I mean, you know, it's going to have to be. Wow.
I got. I'll be 34 weeks tomorrow, so I got.
She's pregnant.
I don't say.
Wow.
I got 6 weeks left, give or take a week, right?
Hilarious.
Wow. Well, we'll have to try to do it sometime, whatever's good for you, maybe within the next couple of weeks, or
Yes.
I don't know, afterward might be more difficult. I don't know. It's totally up to you.
Afterward, it might be difficult
Yeah.
with 2 little ones running
Yeah.
around.
Well, that's going to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be a pretty excited big little sister there.
Oh my
Oh
God,
my God, she's
she's
like bursting.
I would say.
it's her baby.
I think she's at a perfect age too.
Yeah, she'll be 4 in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
That's a perfect
Yeah.
age. It's not too.
She
She's
helps.
not too little. You know.
exactly, yeah.
She's not going to be. You're not going to be frightened to death with the kid just going into its terrible twos
No, that's true.
or anything
Yeah.
like that. You know, putting the
She's
baby in the
really looking
microwave and all
forward.
that.
Oh my God, no. That's right.
Pop
not
goes
gonna
the
be
brother or whatever.
I got rid of my microwave. Actually.
Oh yeah. We got rid of the TV. We're just barely clinging to the microwave. We just use it like to kind of heat up a bit of
Yeah.
coffee going cold.
That's
We
what I
got in the
used to.
microwave.
Yeah, no, I got rid of it. The only thing I used to make in it, honestly, was microwave popcorn.
And that
I could
stuff.
do without that.
And you know what? That stuff, you want to find out how nasty that is?
I did.
It's bad.
That's why I don't do it anymore.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's our incentive to give the microwave the push off the cliff.
Yeah.
Because it's, microwave.
Record it.
What is it good for?
Record it going down the cliff then, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And it's good for heating up
Yeah.
cold coffee.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh, it's great to see you guys. So we
Yeah.
gotta take off because we got a
We have to,
babysitter.
yeah.
Give us a holler.
Yes.
Whatever time is good for you is good for us. So just give us a
I'm
holler.
around all
We got the
time.
Skype thing on the go. You can Skype and leave us a
That's right.
message or
Yes.
We're
whatever.
just getting there now.
Yeah, we got Declan there too now at the house. So
Yeah.
we got the 2 kids, but he's going back on the 7th of September.
Okay.
But I'm around all the time.
All
And
right.
Roger's around at nighttime, so I can sneak out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, give me a call. Figure out when's good for you, and you call me, and we'll just do it.
Definitely, I'd love that.
And hopefully, folks, when you hear this thing that we're proposing, this getting together and chatting and so on, when you hear this and you hear a couple of cuts, you'll all race over to her website and buy this CD for Christmas gifts.
That would be excellent,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Cool,
Alrighty.
guys.
Take her easy.
Yes, you're going out for a pint now, are you?
We are.
Right on.
A well-needed one too at this point.
We're listening to a guy, Petunia, at the Rose and Thistle. Really
Okay.
great.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Straight out of the 40s or something.
Wow.
So I'm going to the bank machine to get $15 to buy a CD.
Ah.
You can't buy them around here, of course.
Oh, okay.
He's from parts unknown.
Well, you know us, we're fuddy-duddies.
What's that?
We're fuddy-duddies.
We
There's
are.
a guy playing at the Rose who's really, really good.
Yeah.
Petunia.
Petunia.
Yeah.
Must be the stage
Wait,
name.
but they're going to Aaron's, and there's a session on the go there.
Oh, is
yeah.
that over here too?
Yeah.
Yeah, we walked by. It was great.
And there's no
Yeah,
That was
cover.
like an hour and a half ago.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's a good selling point, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Good to see
And
ya.
everybody knows our name. Take her easy, guys. Okay. All right. So there's Colleen and Roger. And as you guys just probably gathered, Colleen will be on an upcoming episode. We had her on a long time ago. Did an episode called The Power Hour. If you want to go back and have a look at that. Maybe in the... if you have the Republic of Avalon Radio iPhone app, all you have to do is click on the little search thing and type in Power Hour, and bam, you'll have it. Otherwise, well, you know, you can find it if you really want to. But we'll have the power of 2, I guess.
Yes.
And literally, because she will be with child while we do that interview.
Right.
So it will be the power. That's
that'll be
probably the
really
name of the
neat,
episode, The Power of 2.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's nice.
All right. So yes, we're kind of racing through our reminiscing here about Scotland. But after Scotland, anything else we should mention that happened while we were in Glasgow? I mean, we're only there for a few days, 3 days or
Yeah,
something.
there's a lot that happened in 3 days, actually.
Awful lot happened in 3 days. Singing with the lads,
Yeah.
meeting Dougie McLean,
And-
Dunkell, you know, the invitation to
Right,
go
that
visit
was
him and his
brilliant.
wife.
Yes.
I played at the Celtic Connections Festival on the main stage right at prime time, like right about midnight, I guess, something like that. Right after this huge band that had, they had a couple of pipers and a couple of fiddlers and keyboards and bass and drums and guitars and percussion and extra percussion and singers and dancers and the whole 9 yards. And then after them, you know, and I guess they were quite well known in their parts. After them, little old me on the stage by myself with my guitar. And, you know, it was the funniest thing, but I guess after a while, people get sort of what we say around here, case hardened. You know, you get kind of case hardened. You get sort of saturated, I guess, desensitized. The whole big band and all the noise and all the instruments and all that stuff just became a wash after a while. No offense to those guys, but I'm just talking about, you know, the nature of sound and the nature of, you know, visuals and concentration and attention span and all these things. So as it turned out, when I got out there by myself with my guitar, it was something that was very easy to focus on, and it was a big hit. It went over really well. The crowd was singing along. I was quite surprised to hear the crowd singing along to one of my songs. And I mean, imagine you travel all the way across the ocean and you get up on stage and you're singing one of your own songs that you wrote yourself and all that, and you hear people over there singing along with your song. That was amazing. So all these little things happening that really made us feel good about
It was such a good trip.
about our efforts and so on. And nothing else there that we wanted to mention
Other than
aside from like coming back.
not that I can think of.
Okay.
The Jimmy thing was kind of interesting.
Oh yeah, in Glasgow. Here in Newfoundland, everyone's buddy. That's what we say. What do you say in America or Canada? I'm just trying to think. What would you say? The guy over there? I don't know. We say here, some people say chummy. Buddy. We say, hey buddy. Or look at buddy over there. Mm-hmm. Buddy. Look at buddy. What's buddy up to? What's buddy at? Buddy. Buddy is just anybody. And in Glasgow, they have the same kind of thing. Well, I suppose, back in the day, I'm listening to Mel Blanc, and he says, hey, Mac, hey, Mac, Mac.
Yeah.
No matter what your name is, you get called Mac. Well, here it's like that with Buddy. And in Glasgow, everyone's Jimmy. So the whole time I was there, my neck, I was sick of turning my head in all directions, because everywhere, from all sides of me, I kept hearing, Jimmy! It was the funniest
It was
thing.
really funny.
Yeah. So we left Scotland. We came back. We landed in St. John's just in time to kind of do a bit of laundry and get straightened away, because the very next day we were off to the ECMAs in Halifax, where I was nominated, and Lillian was actually nominated. I think maybe was it for the first time?
For the first time, yeah. I think so.
Okay. To date, I think you've been nominated 6 times?
Yes.
Okay, and you have 6 and I have 4.
Yeah.
East Coast Music Award thingamabobs.
Yeah.
10 between us,
10
folks.
between
That's
us,
not bad. So we went to Halifax and stayed with our friend, our good friend Henry Rojo, who I had done a little bit of work with before on the Gail Tapper record. He recorded a song on there and some guitar tracks and things, and as the producer and all that stuff, I'd worked with him. But we also known him personally as a friend from before then.
Yeah.
And good friend. Can't wait to see Henry again.
Yeah, me
Haven't
too.
seen him in a good long time now.
Yeah,
Maybe
definitely.
since then.
I think you could be right.
So Henry got to get himself over here for a visit sometime.
Yes.
Because all he has to do is just drive to the boat and scoot across to Argentia, and he's an hour outside of St. John's. So it's not a big deal. Really, is it?
No, not at all.
But anyway, we went to the ECMAs in Halifax, stayed with Henry. Lillian had her first sort of experience being, nominated for her work, being recognized, being nominated as, like best graphic designer in the industry and like all of Eastern Canada.
And it was so weird because I was really suffering from jet lag. Oh my God.
Severe jet lag.
Because we just got back from Scotland, we packed our bags, got back in the evening, packed our bags. Next morning we were off to Nova Scotia. And
so we went from Old Scotia to New Scotia.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Scotia to Scotia.
And
hey,
then
that'll have to be the name of this episode.
Yeah, there you go. And then we got to Nova Scotia, we were there one night, and the next morning the awards for the industry are in the morning, which is very inconvenient actually.
Yeah.
But it was 11 o'clock in the morning, it was really fancy brunch. And really fancy brunch with, champagne and orange juice and, these buffet and sort
fruit
of,
salads
oh my God, just big spread. And then everybody sits down at these tables and it's this huge banquet room.
And of course, we'd been to Scotland and socializing like as Newfoundlanders.
Yeah.
And then back from Scotland, and even the night we were back here, I think we actually went out.
Yeah,
came down to the pub, I think.
We had been night owls for about a whole week, really, really night owls, seeing a little bit of daylight. And here we were, getting back and having to go to this thing 11 o'clock in the morning, and it was snowing. Remember, it was really cold there?
When we left Scotland, the whole time we were in Glasgow, that year was some kind of strange El Nino or something El Nino, I think it was.
Yeah.
And we even had a very mild winter here that year. But Scotland, the daytimes, it was like 12 degrees.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Celsius, which would be, for our American friends, that would be 55 degrees in the beginning of February. We came back to Newfoundland, where it was maybe about 5 or 6 degrees. And then we went to Halifax, where it was like minus 20.
Oh, so...
It was bitter.
So it was jet lag, and then like the change in the weather, and it was...
Yeah.
I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone, like sort of... Just everything seemed to be kind of surreal, especially at the brunch thing. It was all like a slow motion, kind of... It's very strange.
Oh, wait a second. I got an email. Oh, never mind. I'll talk to you about that after.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah, we go to Halifax. We're in Halifax. What else is in the notes there?
Hang on.
Oh, hold on a second. Yes, I did an interview, as I said, with the BBC when I was in Glasgow, which we'll be playing some excerpts from later on here in the show. And also, while I was in Glasgow, I did an interview with... was it Jeff Gilhooly?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Was it Jeff?
I think it was. Yeah, I believe it was.
My apologies to whoever if it wasn't Jeff.
I'm pretty sure it was.
We did an interview from Glasgow, from the hotel room one morning, and it was early our time. He was doing On the Go at that time, which was like an afternoon show. But for us, here we were, playing. I was playing the night before, and running around and socializing and everything.
But you were a trooper and you got up.
Yeah, so it was something ungodly, like 10 o'clock or something in the morning. So I was there on the phone in the hotel room doing the interview with Jeff, and there was something about the interview and the whole concept that I think one of the producers here sent it on. They have a national show where they take bits and pieces from all the various regions of the CBC, and stuff that sticks out, they submit it for possible airplay, national airplay. And they submitted this, and it got played nationally. And then in Toronto, there were these people sitting around cooking up this multi-million-dollar super production called The Need Fire, Mervish Productions, at, I think, the Royal Alex or the Princess of Wales. The Royal Alex.
Yeah.
At the Royal Alexandra Theatre in Toronto, in the theatre district. And their whole idea was they wanted the best of the best in Canada and abroad. Canada-based, I guess, but there were some people there as well from Ireland and Scotland and so on. They wanted to just really kind of showcase Celtic, the Celtic culture and history and heritage in Canada, the Irish and the Scottish and so on that had come over and helped build Canada and, build the railways and all these things. And other things other than the railways, but in any case. And Denny Doherty from the Mamas and Papas was the star. It wasn't just music. It was acting and music and dialogue and all these kinds of things. In any case, they were putting together the plans for this, and in the room where they were, they had CBC on in the background, and this interview that I did from Glasgow, over playing at the Celtic Connections Festival with my record Gypsy, after having just signed this transatlantic video satellite record deal with Lismor Iona, and all these things, just stopped them all in their tracks. They all shut up and they listened and they said, "We got to get this guy." So then hey, how's it going? So then I got another call from Toronto one day, and they're asking me if I want to be part of this show. in Toronto. And I'm like, well, to be honest with you, not that excited about the idea of going and spending a few months in Toronto. No offense to you people in Toronto, but not a big thrill. Lillian's business and everything at the time, you know, I would probably have to end up maybe going by myself. I didn't know. So I'm on the phone, they're asking me and whatever. One thing I remember about the phone call was they said that they were going to be singing Sam Hall. That I'd be part, that they wanted to feature my original music. They wanted me to play some of my own music, that I wouldn't be acting any part. I'd just be being myself. You know, I'd be Jim Fiddler. I wouldn't be, you know, Tommy O Murphy, you know, in the show or anything like that. Right. And that part of the whole idea was that they wanted the male singers to do a kind of a sea shanty kind of male chorus thing, and they were thinking about, you know, Sam Hall, you know, the whole Stan Rogers and all that stuff. And I kind of said, I've never done that, you know, for whatever reason. So I said to them, I said, do you realize what you're kind of doing a little bit is like asking Bob Marley to sing the Banana Boat song? I don't think they quite caught that at the time, but I think maybe after I got there a while, they got to know me a little bit. I probably made more sense to them. But anyway, so one thing led to another. Yeah. The thing in Moncton, going up to Ronnie Simpson, giving him the CD, then going to Glasgow, and doing the BBC interview, doing the St. John's, the CBC interview in St. John's, which went national, which was heard by the Need Fire people. And then I went to Need Fire, and then I met Eamon Dillon, and then I made a record with him.
This is to be continued, I think.
And more to come, Richler.
Yeah, because that's another very interesting and exciting time in our lives, for sure.
Yeah.
So we should definitely continue on with that.
But really, folks, the thing is, you know, as long as you're moving, you know, one thing will lead to another, and things will happen. It's just the way it goes. So we'll wind up this segment here, and hope you guys are all still enjoying the Roar and letting all your friends know about it. And don't forget the iPhone app in the iTunes store. Just go over there and look for Republic of Avalon Radio. Get Republic of Avalon Radio on your iPhone or your iPod Touch or your iPad or whatever. And all that jazz.
All right.
As I always say, from Lillian and myself, take care of each other. And on the other side, I'll take you guys back into the studio where I will play you some of the some snippets from the interview that I did with the BBC in Glasgow.
Nice. Okay.
See y'all.
Good night, you fine people.
Bye, y'all. Y'all roar back now, you hear?
Okay. See you. Bye.
Hi, this is Eddie Grant, and you're listening to the Republic of Avalon Radio. Take your time.
We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Oh, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Republic of Avalon Radio. You're with the Roar!
Ho, 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 ho.
Hi, this is Celtic Connections on Radio Scotland, and I'm Katrina MacDonald, bringing you tonight's programme brimming over with the likes of Altan, Bonnie Raitt, Davy Spillane and Dougie MacLean, to name but a few. Tonight we have Newfoundlander Jim Fiddler as my studio guest, and we'll be finding out all about his home place and his music a little later on. First, Deschel. Mellow sounds there from Ireland's Deschel with a track from their album Sunshine Dance. We've lots more mad and mellow music coming up over the next couple of hours on Celtic Connections, and tonight's session guest is Newfoundland singer and multi-instrumentalist Jim Fiddler. Here he is with The Rising of the Moon.
Every river has to flow down from the mountains to the ocean. Every new day has its dawning by the rising of the moon. Ooh. Every empire has to crumble into social revolution. Every true heart in the world hopes that the day is coming soon. Have the words of our forefathers lost all their meaning? Or have we grown too wise to realize what they mean? Or they laughed at the old people's dire predictions? Now with shame we proclaim them to be prophecy. Rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, 'tis the rising of the moon. Rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, 'tis the rising of the moon. Out from many's a mud-walled cabin eyes were watching through the night. Many's a manly heart was throbbing for the blessed warning light. Murmurs passed along the valleys, get you ready quick and soon. We all must stand together by the rising of the moon. Hear the voices of the people as we cry out for freedom. Everyone in the whole world just wants to be free. Whoa, whoa, whoa. But it's one thing to talk and another to listen. If we all close our eyes, then we never will see how they fought for this island and full bitter was their fate. Oh, I pray to God in heaven and I hope that it's not too late. For the days are passing swiftly and the time is coming soon. We all must stand together by the rising of the moon. Rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, 'tis the rising of the moon. Rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, 'tis the rising of the moon. Rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, 'tis the rising of the moon. Rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, rise up, 'tis the rising of the moon.
man with a great name for a musician, Jim Fiddler from Newfoundland, is our guest on Celtic Connections tonight, and we'll hear more from him later on. Next up, a new Scandinavian band, Yellerhorn, with the ballad of Olaf and the Mermaid. A mazurka from one of Norway's top fiddle players, Susanne Lunding, and an instrumental set from Altan. Some good old Donegal tunes there, Con McGinley's and Newfoundland Reel. An apt introduction perhaps to our studio guest tonight, who comes from Newfoundland, and here he is, Jim Fiddler, with an ode to the Bran called The Rhythm of the Goat.
Well, in the town of St. John's, that's where I chanced to dwell. One night when I was playing in a pub you all know well, I met a girl from Carbonear who said she liked to dance, and if I knew just what to do, then maybe I'd have a chance. Well, I asked if she was partial to the jigs or to the reels. What was her particular fancy for kicking up her heels? She said she was fond of a melody and the singing of the note, but her particular fancy was the rhythm of the goat. With me ratty-tow to the diddly and me ratty-tow to the da, me ratty-tow to the diddly and me ratty-tow to the da. Then I asked her for a particular tune that she might like to hear. I'd play it on me mandolin, me banjo or me guitar. I'd play it on me whistle or on me fiddle, note for note, but all she said she wanted to hear was the rhythm of the goat. With me ratty-tow to the diddly and me ratty-tow to the da, me ratty-tow to the diddly and me ratty-tow to the da. Then I thought I knew just what to do, so then I turned to she. With me diddle-dum this one, diddle-dum that one, diddle-dum, diddle-dum dee. With me whackful Turalura and the story of Nuki's boat, but still she said she wanted to hear the rhythm of the goat. With me ratty-tow to the diddly and me ratty-tow to the da, me ratty-tow to the diddly and me ratty-tow to the da. Well, I then took out my boron and I began to play a song I knew when I was young out in Conception Bay. While her feet, they hardly touched the floor, I knew I had her vote, 'cause I was finally playing the rhythm of the goat. With me ratty-tow to the diddly and me ratty-tow to the da, me ratty-tow to the diddly and me ratty-tow. With me ratty-tow to the diddly and me ratty-tow to the da, me ratty-tow to the diddly and me ratty-tow. With me ratty-tow to the diddly and me ratty-tow to the da, me ratty-tow to the diddly and me ratty-tow. With me ratty-tow to the diddly and me ratty-tow to the da, me ratty-tow to the diddly and me ratty-tow to the da.
That was The Rhythm of the Goat, and that was played by Jim Fiddler, who is tonight's session guest on Celtic Connections. Hello, Jim.
Hi.
Hi there. So then, tell me all about Newfoundland. Can you, first of all, tell me where it is?
Okay. Newfoundland is right in the North Atlantic, right between North America and Europe. If you were to pave a sidewalk, you could just walk right off the west coast of Ireland, and eventually you would hit the very eastern tip of Newfoundland, which is a place called Cape Spear. And that actually, since 1949, Newfoundland joining Canada, Cape Spear is actually acknowledged as the most eastern point of North America. So I live about 3 miles west of that, which means I'm about as close to you here as anybody could be.
Oh, well, that's good to know. So is it, tell me, around about there, it's all islands, a lot of islands and...
Well, Newfoundland's a big island. I think you can take the British Isles pretty much and plop it right down on top, and there'll be space left over.
Oh, great stuff.
Pretty big island. And culturally, different parts of the island have different roots, I guess you'd say.
Mm-hmm.
The area of Newfoundland where I come from, which is the Avalon Peninsula, most of the people there, their people came from Cork, Wexford, Waterford, some from the West Country, from Somerset and Devonshire,
mm-hmm.
and some from Scotland and out on the west coast, and as well some people from Brittany. So
So was this at the time when, you know, they were chucking everybody out because they needed land for sheep and stuff like that, or was this a long time before
several waves? I mean, Newfoundland just last summer celebrated 500th anniversary.
Great. I actually had to have a little laugh actually on your biog material that I've got here. I love this, being a Shetlander. It says, 1,000 years ago the Vikings discovered Newfoundland, and then 500 years later the British found it. So what happened between all those years between the Vikings and the Brits?
Well, there's a bit of a myth on the go with this whole John Cabot thing. John Cabot sailed off valiantly into the west and with, you know, afraid of falling off the earth, and discovered Newfoundland and claimed it for king and country and all that kind of jazz, you know.
Mm.
But the fellas that brought him over actually were West Country, mainly from Bristol,
Mm-hmm.
fishermen who for generations had been going over and fishing off the Grand Banks. And the whole point of it is, it's like the way we describe it at home is, you know, if you find the best fishing hole around, you're certainly not going to come back to town and blab about it, you know.
Absolutely, or we'd all have been over there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So once all the people came over from this side, you feel as though that's where a lot of the music first started up? Is it coming from
yeah,
over
absolutely.
this
I mean,
end?
it's just right down over the centuries. In fact, being an island and being so isolated, there's areas in Newfoundland where just to the south of St. John's, on the southern shore, for example, where most of the people there came from around Waterford, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The accent is better preserved than back in Waterford itself, because the people have been more isolated.
Mm.
So there was a large wave of people. People came over from to Newfoundland, not so much, say, the famine wave that went over to the Boston States. It's more a case of just people looking for a better lot, and the people that came over from Ireland were basically farmers who went into fishing.
Yeah, that's...
And it was a little bit the other way around with the West Country people.
So how about the Scottish connection? Does that tend to be more around the Cape Breton type area?
That's out around there's a place called the Codroy Valley out on the west coast of Newfoundland. Really beautiful area, and that's where most of the Scottish. Although now there's Scottish in my blood. My grandmother, her father, my grandma was a Dunphy, and I think they came from County Clare.
Mm-hmm.
And her mother was an Allen, and I'm not sure what part of Scotland they came from, but that's a pretty close tie because my grandmother's parents came over.
Oh, great. So I'm getting this picture that Newfoundland is it's a really big melting pot. You seem to have, I've got down here that, there are people that have come over, like the Spaniards have been over, and the Basque people, which I think is quite amusing because it's very rarely you get either of those two in the same place and enjoying it too much. Yeah. And also the English and French kind of connection. So what happens when you put all that together? What happens to the music side of things?
Well, I guess that's you just heard one tune and the other tunes that I'm going to be playing this evening. I guess you get a sense from that. But also, I spend quite a bit of time. There's French islands, Saint-Pierre-et-Miquelon, right off the south coast of Newfoundland, and they're French islands. It's France.
Oh my goodness!
So you can see it from Newfoundland. You can get up on a hill and look over, and there it is. And it's French speaking, and they use the franc as their currency.
Oh, fantastic!
So I'm back and forth there all the time, and we're singing in between. I don't know what the Wild Rover and Chevalier de la Table Ronde and all kinds of stuff, all mixed together, and it's lovely.
Oh, that's great. So with the music, when all these people came over, did they bring their own instruments? The instrumentation that you have in Newfoundland, what kind of instruments would people be into playing?
Well, the big one, I'd say, the national instrument of Newfoundland is the accordion, the squeeze box, the button accordion.
Because it's the loudest. No?
Well, it was portable, I guess. It was so portable, and where probably a lot of people couldn't afford organs, or the mayor or the whoever might have a pump organ years ago. Not everybody could afford that, so the accordion, when that came along, and there was no tuning, and the cold, damp weather didn't affect it, and so on and so forth. So it was really versatile.
So the accordion, you obviously are looking at a very impressive list of instruments that you play. It has to puts all us individual instrumentalists completely to shame. You seem to have an amazing amount of instruments that you play yourself. Is the accordion one that perhaps you started on, or what was your...
No, I started on the piano, actually, which I would recommend to anybody who might be just starting to dabble with anything or want to get into music. The piano just gives you such a sense of coordination, the left hand, the right hand. It's a percussion instrument.
Yeah.
So you get a whole sense of that, and the melody. Music is melody and rhythm.
Yep.
And you really get that drilled into you from the piano. I think anybody who starts on the piano, it would help their fiddling after, it would help their bouzouki playing, or even their boron playing, I suppose,
Oh my goodness. There we go. It is actually very impressive to see the list of instruments you play. You play the fiddle and the banjo and the bass and the drums and the whole lot. But one of the big kind of threads through your album is the fact that you are a lovely singer. How long have you been doing that for then? Have you been singing since you were a tot?
No, it's the funniest thing. I really don't consider myself to be a singer. I'm a born musician. The name fiddler actually is an occupational name, so we traced our family back to the family name goes back to we got it back to the 1200s.
Oh my
God. And all the way, every mention all the way down through the centuries of specific people that we can find reference to, they were all travelling musicians, all gypsies travelling around various places throughout the British Isles and Central Europe.
Yeah, it's a lovely name. I wonder where originally it comes from. I think it's
from, Germany is chock full of Fiedler. It's the name Fiedler, but it comes in handy in Newfoundland when your name is Fiddler,
Come to our party.
Yeah. When it's time to pay the fiddler,
That's great. Yeah. Looking down your list of influences, they're quite vast, I would say. Yeah. So tell us what kind of music you yourself listen to. And
I figured it out. It looks kind of like, how do you connect the dots? You got that there? Just read a couple of the...
Yeah. The people that we've got down here is Bob Marley and Christy Moore, the Police, Chieftains, J.S. Bach, and Kate Bush and people like that. So can you tell us what it is, all these different strands,
I was ages trying to figure it out myself, but what I find for the most part that really, really, I would say, turns my crank is when people, I guess, they're themselves. Mm-hmm. They are who they are, and they come from where they come from. That's number one. Number two, they respect their history and their ancestors and whatever is wonderful about who you are. A certain degree of that was handed to you. But then the other element after that is, that being said, you've been given the tools that have been passed to you. It's up to you to make your own things with those tools, as opposed to just imitating Granddad or trying to imagine how Granddad might have sounded when he was 15 or 20 or that whole passing something on, but it's passing on an ability to pursue your own direction and make your own creations instead of innovate as opposed to imitate.
Yeah, I mean it's lovely. Your album, which has actually just been released on Iona Records, hear over here, it has a lot of your own material on it.
Yeah, it's all original actually.
All original material. That's great. Do you sit down every day and write a song or?
Nope.
No, definitely not.
No, they just come from I don't know where, when, and doesn't matter where I am, or just someday I might be making some toast or getting a cup of tea going or whatever. Other times I might be on a bus.
Oh, lovely.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
The tune that we're going to hear now from you is a tune called Downtown Girl. Can you tell me a little bit about this one?
Well, this one's a little bit cheeky, I think. I think if you listen to the sort of goings-on in the tune, there's a reference in there. One verse is, well, we went to the regatta for to see the goings-on. There's a thing that happens in St. John's every summer called the Royal Newfoundland Regatta, and we have boat races and games of chance and a big beer tent and all that kind of stuff. So that's that. Well, we went to the regatta for to see the goings-on. That's what that's all about. But it's kind of about getting yourself yourself hooked up with what we call a missus. I don't know. You say that here?
No.
No.
What's that?
A missus.
A missus.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Well, you get a bit of a slap around the cheek if you called them that.
Oh, is that right?
Nowadays.
Oh, okay. Not politically correct. Sorry.
Never mind. It's okay.
So you just find yourself involved in a relationship with this person, and she turns out to be a little bit how would I say it? A little bit wild, perhaps, you know. And you can't really keep. If you look the other way and you look back, she's gone, you know. And you take her out to have a pint, and she's up dancing with everybody and whatever. You really you don't blink, or she's not there. I think that's. And it's actually about an old girlfriend of mine. And
well, she sounds like an excellent woman to me. That's all I can say.
She was lots of fun.
Oh, I bet she was.
But she didn't end up being my lifetime mate. I think I did quite well in that department.
Anyway, this is Downtown Girl. Thanks very much to Jim Fiddler.
Thank you. Well, one fine day in the month of June, she's a downtown girl, she's a get-around girl. I figured that I'd write me a silly little tune, she's a downtown girl for sure. As she likes waking up with her hair messed up, she's a downtown girl, she's a get-around girl. She likes waking up with her hair messed up, she's a downtown girl for sure. Well, I took her to the tavern for to have a pint of beer, she's a downtown girl, she's a get-around girl. She was dancing and flirting with everybody there, she's a downtown girl for sure. As she likes waking up with her hair messed up, she's a downtown girl, she's a get-around girl. She likes waking up with her hair messed up, she's a downtown girl for sure. Then we went to the regatta for to see the goings on, she's a downtown girl, she's a get-around girl. I looked the other way, when I looked back she was gone, she's a downtown girl for sure. As she likes waking up with her hair messed up, she's a downtown girl, she's a get-around girl. She likes waking up with her hair messed up, she's a downtown girl for sure. Then I went to her house to meet her mother and her father, she's a downtown girl, she's a get-around girl. When I got to the door, they confused me with another, she's a downtown girl for sure. As she likes waking up with her hair messed up, she's a downtown girl, she's a get-around girl. She likes waking up with her hair messed up, she's a downtown girl for sure. So if you ever go out for to have a pint of beer, she's a downtown girl, she's a get-around girl. And you see her coming toward you, then you better steer clear, she's a downtown girl for sure. As she likes waking up with her hair messed up, she's a downtown girl, she's a get-around girl. She likes waking up with her hair messed up, she's a downtown girl for sure. Yeah, she likes waking up with her hair messed up, she's a downtown girl, she's a get-around girl. She likes waking up with her hair messed up, she's a downtown girl for sure.
More from Jim later in tonight's Celtic Connections. And now for some thoughts on our own tradition from the pen of Dougie MacLean.
me, take a never to.
Mick West there with Lord Randall, and the guitar playing of Artie McGlynn and the fiddling of Noleg Casey with the Brady set. From one fiddler to another, this time to our studio guest, Jim Fiddler from Newfoundland.
Our culture's like a flower, our people like the earth, and many's a stranger has come digging ever since this island's birth. And many's a strong heart has been broken by promises made but not kept. And those same strangers came a-stealing as our fathers quietly wept. It's not for fame nor for fortune. We've slaved for 100 years, and it's not for wealth that we've struggled and shed our blood and our tears, but for our fertile soil, our children young and strong. But just as the seeds they get planted, the strangers keep coming along. Oh, hear me, my proud people, in what seems our darkest hour. It's not the time for surrender, but the time for the blooming of the flower.
Jim Fiddler from Canada with The Blooming of the Flower, and also from Canada is the brilliant Daniel Lanois, and his collaboration with Emmylou Harris can be heard on this track, Wrecking Ball. Fab music there from Emmylou. Time, I think, for one last tune set from our studio guests Jim Fiddler and Auntie Mary. Auntie Mary and her very big canary there. Thanks to Jim Fiddler for being such a joy to interview. Seeing as I'm still a wee learner presenter here, he's made my job very easy tonight. If you want some more information on any of the music on tonight's Celtic Connections, please ring the free Radio Scotland helpline on 0800 077 077. Now, time for one more from the eclectic Irish band Keela.
a Roots Cellar production.